Very good evening to all of you. The first and foremost important part of our program of our FOSWL is prayer. I request Sri Anandakumar sir to give us the prayer and then we will proceed with the rest of the program.
A befitting prayer. Verse 35 from Gitanjali by Rabindranath Tagore. It is befitting the topic of the day, reinventing India as leading innovation nation. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches his arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habits, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, it's a very happy occasion for all of us. Respected distinguished speaker of the day, Padma Vibhushan, Sri Mashelkar ji, respected Dr. V.S. Sharma Garu, the president of FOSWL Annanagar, my co-office bearers, Mr. Anandakumar, Mr. Narayanan, and others, my dear friends, brethren, and today's august audience. Firstly, I call upon the Almighty's kind looks on all of us, without which none of our efforts can fructify. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Our friends on same wavelength, shortly called as FOSWL, has got several chapters, as has been already explained, and Annanagar chapter is one of the foremost chapters in India. It is a forum of friendship, cooperation, goodwill among like-minded celebrated personalities, mostly who are in the autumns of their lives, fostering mutually enriching interactions and harnessing the wisdom of these elderly senior persons. There are many super seniors also in our fold, with the privilege of having around 200 plus members in total. Dr. V.S. Sharma Garu, whom you can see on the screen, an octogenarian, is our founder president, very dynamic and leading us with purpose. He is presently in USA with his daughters. Recently, he had a fall and sustained fracture of left hip. He was operated and is recovering with the power of the providence. He is now online and participating here, but has entrusted me with this privileged responsibility of conducting today's event. I am Professor Sharma Rachakonda, a senior consultant physician at Manipal Hospital, Bangalore, and a visiting professor in many medical institutions. I am looking after the responsibility of this beloved FOSWL Annanagar as Vice President from its inception. Our organization is functioning effectively for the past 11 years plus. We have a proud record of conducting uninterruptedly 133 monthly meetings with fervor and purpose. Now, we come to introduce our revered speaker. Vidvattancha nrupatvancha naivatulyam kadachana Swadeshe pujyate raja vidwan sarvatra pujyate. Very apt in the case of our present distinguished speaker. With utmost humility and profound reverence, I attempt to introduce our distinguished guest of honor of today. In our speaker of the day, nay, the prophet of scientific India, we have the exemplary legend, the stalwart par excellence, the visionary non-compare. What privilege is not mine and what honor is not ours in introducing this Himalayan personality to this August audience of our FOSWL. Indeed, blessed are the forum of our FOSWL and the sincere participants here to be present with attentive ears to listen to his address. On this platform of FOSWL, many eminent speakers have imparted their great wisdom to us. It is very easy to emphatically declare that today's distinguished guest of honor and speaker is the best ever we had. Give a big of applause those who are open mics. The topic we are going to be feasting on is reinventing India as a leading innovative nation. Our distinguished speaker, Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, FRS, former Director General of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, former Chairman of National Innovation Foundation, recipient of the coveted Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, and Padma Vibhushan awards. Dr. Mashelkar, National Research Professor, was the longest serving 1995 to 2006 Director General of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Also, Chairman of National Innovation Foundation from 2000 to 2018. He was the President of the Indian Science Academy between 2004 to 2006. Also, the President of Global Research Alliance 2007 to 2018. The CSR transformation during the 1990s has been listed among the top 10 achievements of the Indian science and technology in the 20th century in the book Scientific Edge by Jayant Narlikar. 44 universities, look here, 44 universities from around the world have honored him with honorary doctorates, which include University of London, Salford, Pretoria, Wisconsin, Swinburne, Monash, and New Delhi. Dr. Mashelkar has many firsts to his credit. He was the first Indian to win the most prestigious TWAS Lenovo Science Prize in 2018, the highest science prize by the World Academy of Science. The first Indian from India to be elected as the fellow of the US National Academy of Inventors 2017. The first Asian scientist to win the Business Week USA Award of Stars of Asia at the hands of George Bush Sr., the former president of USA, and the first and only scientist to win the JRD Tata Corporate Leadership Award 1998 so far. He is only the third Indian engineer to have been elected as Fellow of the Royal Society since 1660, the seventh Indian scientist to have been elected as Foreign Fellow of US National Academy of Science since 1963, the seventh Indian to have been elected as Foreign Associate of American Academy of Arts and Science since 1780. Dr. Mashelkar has been on the board of directors of India's most reputed companies, which include Reliance Industries Limited, to Tata Motors Limited, to Hindustan Unilever Limited. In the post-liberalized India, Dr. Mashalkar has played a critical role in shaping India's science and technology and innovation policies. He was a member of the Scientific Advisory Council to Prime Minister to set up the successive governments for 30 years. The President of India has honored Dr. Mashelkar with the coveted Padma Shri 1991, Padma Bhushan 2000, and with Padma Vibhushan in 2014, three of the highest civilian awards. I am sure all of you are longing to listen to this great personality. Now, we humbly request our chief guest of honor to enrich us with his vivid experience. Over to you, sir. Very privileged to read these few lines of introduction for you. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those very kind, very gracious remarks. Mr. President, all the distinguished members of FOSWL and ladies and gentlemen. I must say it's a very special privilege because this is the second time I'm speaking on this forum. And as I have chosen the subject of reinventing India as leading innovation nation, I like every opportunity that I get on this subject to speak on this subject, because not only this is very close to my heart, this is something that has to be done. We were a leader at one point in time. We have lost that leadership. How can we reinvent ourselves as a proud leading innovation nation? That is the subject that I'm going to cover. Now, if you see the top 10 achievements of the 20th century, which the renowned scientist Dr. Csr Narlikar has enumerated in his book, let us reflect on our past. You will see Ramanujan comes there first. And of course, he was a great, maybe one of the world's greatest mathematician that world has ever seen. Then comes, of course, Meghnad Saha, stellar astrophysics. His contributions were phenomenal. Then comes S.N. Bose. Bose-Einstein statistics is very famous. Boson has been named after him. Particle statistics, he did great contributions. Sir C.V. Raman, of course, he is the only Nobel laureate based on the work that has been done in India. Others have got it, but for work done outside. And G.N. Ramchandran, who should have got the Nobel Prize for discovering the triple helix structure of collagen, he did not get it, a great molecular biologist. So this is till the 50s. Then if you look at the second half, you have, of course, the nuclear power, the green revolution, the space program, some breakthroughs in superconductivity. And the last is the CSIR transformation, about which it was referred a little sort of earlier. So what do you find in this? You find that the first 50 years, you have single scientists making incredible world-class contributions. But in the second half, you don't see that. You see government-funded, public institution-driven, whether it was agriculture, whether it was space, whether it was defense, whether it is CSIR, programs of that particular kind. And most importantly, you don't see any industry, for example, which is based on innovation-led enterprise. It could be Microsoft, it could be Google, it could be Apple, or enterprises like that. We don't see that. And we very much hope that we'll be able to see them very soon. So that's the last 10 years. Now, if you just move ahead and see that where did we start from? We were a poor country. And we started like this, 1963, 56 years ago, India launched its first rocket. And this is the scene, where the rocket is being carried on a bicycle. But from there, where have we moved? On March 1 this year, the Indian PSLV rocket launched Brazilian Amazonia satellite, the first commercial mission. All right. So that's a high point. Not only that, ISRO launched a record of 104 satellites on a single rocket, creating another world record. So from that bicycle journey, we have moved into a journey in the space in a big way. And I'm particularly proud of Mars Orbiter mission, because India is the first country to enter Mars orbit in the first attempt at a record low cost, which is just 10% of what US has done. And that's what I always like to say about India. We must be able to do 10x. 10x means 10 times better, but 10 times cheaper. And I will dwell on this theme further. Now, if you see, the Indian science, technology, and innovation policies have been there. 58 science policy, 83 technology policy. 2003, when I was the Director General, I remember we did the science and technology policy. And then this has been extended to innovation policy, because they must be going together. And now, of course, we have this new phenomenon of Startup India, Atal Innovation Mission, and there is a new STI policy. Now, if you see in innovation, how are we doing? Global Innovation Index. You'll be proud to see that from 2015 to 2021, in 6 years, we have moved from 81st rank to 46th rank. So we have certainly made very good progress. And this is among 140 odd nations, by the way, from 81 to 46. But look at China. They have moved from 29 to 12. In fact, in every sphere, they have moved ahead of us. So that is why the title of my talk is not building India as an innovation nation, but as a leading innovation nation. How can we be ahead of China? How can we be in the top 5, top 10? That's what we have to talk about. Now, my book, Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting, actually is an embodiment of that aspiration. You know, as Ratan Tata has said about this, there is an assured innovation framework which can make it happen. Now, in Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting, the subtitle is very important: creating the magic of radical yet sustainable transformation. So that is the book that has come out. And I'm very proud that this won the Best Business Book of the Year award. Not bad for a scientist to actually win it. But I must also acknowledge my colleague, Ravi Pandit, with whom I have actually co-authored it. Now, where did this idea of leapfrogging to pole vaulting came? As you know, an enterprise which barely started for 4 decades ago, Reliance, is today the #1 company in India in terms of market capitalization, with around $260 billion. All right, and you remember Dhirubhai Ambani was a petrol pump attendant, and then he started Bimal Saris, and then created the petrochemical complex, then the refinery, and then, of course, they went into other areas. Now, they have, I've been on their board from 2007 for the last 14 years, and Mukesh Ambani created this, what is called as the Innovation Council, and I've been privileged to be its chairman. Now, what is their dictum? Their dictum is growth is life. But then we said, no, innovation must be made a way of life, you know, because we believe that everyone is somewhere, everyone can innovate. And then combining the two, innovation-led growth becomes sort of the motto. And of course, as you can see, it is not innovation-led growth, but innovation-led exponential growth. And that too, disruptive innovation-led exponential growth. Now, once we were talking, and he said, Doc, we must leapfrog in some connection. I said, let's think about it. Why did the frog leap? Because he's afraid of the predators. How much does he leap? A few feet. And it is reactive. So, should we be jumping to save ourselves from our competitors because we are afraid of the competitors? Or should we pole vault? The size of the pole determines the size of our aspiration. And he loved it, and we created what is called as a leadership program called Beyonders. That means leaders who can go beyond the realms of possibilities, you know. And we gave them massive opportunities through growth opportunities. And the way this leadership was built was setting unreasonable goals, challenging conventional wisdom, not yes sir, kind of a culture. Getting ordinary people to do extraordinary things is very difficult to do that. Suffer from divine discontent, no matter what we achieve, we want to achieve the next mile and convert adversity into opportunity and generate exponential value. Then you will ask, what is a good example of a pole vaulting? Now you can see that pole vaulting example. If you look at the mobile data transmission, India was here and the rest of the world was ahead. And after Jio came, you can see that in mobile data usage, we jumped from pole vaulted from 155th to first position. We did not leapfrog from 155th to 100, 155th to the first. And pole vaulting to reach 50 million users. For example, telephone took 50 years, mobile took 12 years, YouTube took 4 years, Facebook took 3 years, Twitter took 2 years, and Reliance did it in 83 days. There was a lot of innovation that was involved there. But it was not just the bravery, it changed the game. For example, if you see before Jio, 4G VoLTE phone was $300. It was brought down to $23. Data per GB cost was $5. It was brought down to 1 cent. And voice expenditure was $1.6, which was brought down to 0. In fact, you remember we used to be very proud of missed call. Missed call is jugaad. Missed call is unethical because you are not paying for it. The telecom company is paying for it. That is not correct as a matter of fact. But now legitimately, you can make a free voice call. Now you would say that this is fine. I mean, you can give such examples and say, what is it that is needed in order? In fact, somebody asked me when we were writing the book, he said, how do you make sure that when you pole vault, you don't break your back? So that is where, if you see the chapter 3, there's assured innovation framework that we have created. And India, in order to be a leading innovation nation, has to follow this assured innovation framework. What is it? First and foremost, affordable. Second, scalable. If you are affordable, you are scalable. Today, we have 1 billion mobiles simply because those mobiles are affordable. Otherwise, it will not be possible. Then it must be sustainable. It must be universal, user-friendly. It must be resilient, excellence in terms of technology, and distinctive. You know, it can't be me too. We can't be a copying sort of a nation. We have to be ahead of the rest of the world. And therefore, this matrix is very, very important. And assured is not a static but dynamic matrix. It changes with time. It's fully quantifiable. For example, our book shows that these companies, for example, you know, that were listed, they were at one time successful. None of them exist today. Because if you see the matrix, affordability, scalability, sustainability, etc., they faltered somewhere or there. Take, for example, Napster. Napster was free download of music. And there were 80 million users that they had. But they don't exist today. Why? Because it was not sustainable.
இதனாலதான் எனக்கு வெறுத்து போகுது. இது பாருங்க அங்கத்தோட இங்கத்தோட அது இது மாதிரி பண்ணா.
Can you mute everybody else, please, other than me?
Yes, I have done that.
Yeah. So it was not sustainable for a simple reason that it has to be accepted to the society, and the society of musicians simply said that you can't download my music free. And Napster, which has 80 million customers, is zero today. Look at BlackBerry, for example. It was very, very popular. And our generation will certainly know about BlackBerry. We have used BlackBerry. But they tried to use it as an email machine. And when the touch technology came, they were not using it. They were still on their blackboard, on the keyboard. And therefore, they don't exist. And therefore, if India needs to lead, actually, and create sustainable companies which will be successful, this matrix must be formed. Now, even a great company like Google created Google Glass, which failed. Why? It was distinctive. It was excellent. But it was not affordable, very expensive. So therefore, it did not scale. It was not user-friendly because when you're using Google Glass, you did not know. If you're talking to somebody wearing Google Glass, you did not know as to whether he was recording your speech. Or if you entered a cinema theater, you would not know whether he's downloading the film that he's seeing, etc. It didn't know that. But look at Jio, for example. Was it affordable? Yes. You saw it is the cheapest in the world. Is it scalable? Yes. Close to 50 million customers today. Is it sustainable? Yes. It is making good profits. Is it universal, user-friendly? Yes. You can see the two different kinds of users. This lady comes from a slum and this must be driving her Mercedes. But for both of them, they can use that. Was it rapid? You saw how in 83 days they scaled up. Was it excellent? Yes. 4G LTE technology. And was it distinctive? Yes, of course. That's what I mean. And one can give several such examples. So when we become an innovation nation and a leading nation, this is a metric that we have proposed. And I'm very happy to see that this is being used across the country now. First, we started using it when Honorable Prime Minister created the Swachh Bharat Mission, there was a committee under my chairmanship. This became a standing committee later on to select the best technologies from around the world for sanitation and drinking water. And we started using it. And then it spread in industry, like TCS uses it. It spread to startups, to investors, to national labs, and Bombay Management Association has created also an Assured Enterprise Award. This year it went to Byju's, for example, for the EdTech and so on and so forth. So this is one of the main points I wanted to make. So I think our nation has shown that it can pole vault. For example, we created world's fastest and largest financial inclusion through JAM. Now, mind you, innovation is not just technological. It is business model innovation, workflow innovation, system delivery innovation, organizational innovation, policy innovation. All these must go together. And in JAM, what are the innovations we have? First of all, Jan Dhan Yojana was a policy innovation. Then there was Aadhaar, which was based on technology, and mobile, which was based on technology. But in order to deliver it, and all of you have gone through that particular process, there was a workflow innovation, there was a system delivery innovation. So it was a combination of these through which, in fact, we have got a Guinness Book of Record award. World's fastest and largest jump in mobile data consumption. I just explained it. World's fastest and largest deployment of LEDs, light emitting diodes. Why are they important? Because they consume very little electricity. And therefore, the carbon footprint is very, very minimal. And we became world's fastest because from in 7 years, we moved from 0.2% penetration to 88% penetration. It is amazing. And the cost of 9-watt LED bulb was brought down by a factor of 700%. And we could do that again through innovation, where we did demand aggregation, system delivery innovation, and so on. World's fastest and largest real-time digital payment transformation. You know, now billions of transformations are taking place now. We have become number one. So what else? I think each one of us can dream that. I think so. The point I'm trying to make is that my book, Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting, is not just a dream or an aspiration. We have demonstrated that India can do it. India has done it, and India should continue to do that. So paradigm shift in innovation strategy. If we have to become leader, then we can't be following. Then we can't be leader. Following is not leadership. Not fast following is not also leadership. We must become a real leader, and there, not leapfrog, but pole vault. Then comes the fact that can government do something to create pole vaulting. So I will tell you about my own experience. As you know, I was the director of National Chemical Laboratory during 1989 to 1995. And I created a program called Kite Flying Fund. What is kite flying? Any idea, you can dream of an impossible idea, and I will fund it. Chance of success, maybe 1 in 100, but still I will fund it. Now, that itself was very interesting, because then people started thinking out of the box of things which looked impossible. And they said, I will make that impossible possible. The character of the laboratory changed. Then when I went to CSIR, then I became the Director General of 40 laboratories, like National Chemical Laboratory. There is a National Physical Laboratory, we have Central Leather Research Institute, for example, Indian Institute of Petroleum, National Physical Laboratory, etc., etc. And there I created what is called as a New Idea Fund. And amazing breakthroughs came, because when you set the mind free, when you promote risk, things can happen. Similarly, in public-private, I created a New Millennium Indian Technology Leadership Initiative. And amazing breakthroughs came there. And there, it was a very interesting model. I remember saying that we must not create a venture fund, but adventure fund, basically, at that time. And I don't know how many of you have seen the latest cover of Economist. The title there is Adventure Capital. I used to say not venture capital, adventure capital. It's nice. I was somebody, Microsoft former chairman, sent it to me, and he said, "This is something you had said in year 2000." I said, "Yes, that is correct." But that means you're supporting risks, for example, and that is what we position actually, because India was always here, high market certainty and high technology certainty, because we were copying, and there was already product in the market. We shifted it. We said uncertain markets here and uncertain technology, and we'll take bets in this space. And then corporates also started this pole vaulting innovation, like daring to try. Tata started. In fact, there's an interesting story. In 2006, they had invited me, Tata, to Goa, where their senior people were meeting. And I gave a talk on innovation as a way of life. And there I remember saying that a friend of mine had come from US, and he said, "We don't hang people who make mistakes, but we do hang people who don't take risks. What do you do in India?" And I said, "Of course, we hang them if they take risks." And there's a big laughter. But there's one person who did not laugh, Ratan Tata. And Ratan then asked me during tea, he said, "What should we do in Tata so that they can take risks?" I said, "Give awards to those who dare to try." And that became the Daring to Try award. And it's the most sought after award, as a matter of fact, where people are trying risky ideas and they are fully supported. Mahindra created Dare to Dream, and I told you about Reliance creating Beyond Us. And therefore, if India has to become a leading nation, this is what we need to do. We have to take more risks. We have to try out of the box idea, because our young people are extremely creative. We must trust them. Talent, technology, and trust must go together. Now, India is an undisputable leader in what I call as inclusive innovation. And frugal innovation, inclusive innovation, Gandhian innovation, reverse innovation, more from less for more. These words did not exist in innovation 10 years ago. And today they exist and they dominate. And I'm very proud that India has demonstrated that. Now, I remember this talk I gave in Canberra in 2008. I was inducted to Australian Academy. And this is Robin Batterham, the president of Australian Academy. And they invited me to speak in Canberra, their capital, on innovation. And I said, and I was the first Indian to have been selected, by the way. So I said, since they have elected me, they don't know India, because there are at least 100 people who are better than me, whose names I could write. So I said, I must tell them something that they have not heard about. So the title of my talk was Gandhian engineering. Now they were puzzled. We know mechanical engineering, we know electrical engineering, we know civil engineering. What is Gandhian engineering? So I explained to them what is Gandhian engineering. Mahatma Gandhi had said that earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. That means get more from less. That means use your resources very carefully to get more and more from them, so that you can preserve these for your great-grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, and so on. And then I'd say, I would prize every invention of science made for the benefit for all. Let me do it for more and more people. So if you put this together, you get to the definition of Gandhian engineering, getting more performance from less resource for more people. In what way does it differ from the normal? People try to get more from more. That means you create more expensive gadget, giving more and more performance, right? So you have iPhone 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, and so on and so forth, okay? But they are more and more expensive. So more performance from less resources. What I'm saying is that you keep on increasing the performance, but for lower and lower cost. Now that's a contradiction. How can you do that? And you have seen that despite income inequality of 1,000:1, there is access equality. And there's a brilliant example of more from less for more. Because there are a billion people who are using that. And this Gandhian engineering that I talked about in 2008, the word started spreading. And in 2 years' time, C.K. Prahlad, who is probably one of the greatest thought leaders that India has seen, and I wrote a paper in Harvard Business Review. Unfortunately, it turned out to be CK's last paper, and I'm very proud that this is rated as the top 10 innovation papers ever written. Extremely proud to tell you that. This paper we wrote in July, August 2010. Can you believe it? World Economic Forum in November had a special session on more from less for more. Why? Because they understood the implications of what it meant for the world. Because in the world, the inequalities are rising. And what Gandhian engineering does is getting more from less for more. That means, despite income inequality, you have access equality, like you saw in the previous slides. And that is important for the world. That's why they created that. So you can see that India has been an expert in doing this. For example, high quality hepatitis B vaccine, 40 times cheaper. Looks impossible. How can high quality go together with 40 times cheaper? But that is the case. Varaprasad Reddy from Shanta Biotech created hepatitis B vaccine. And how do you know that it is high quality? Yes, because 40% of UNICEF supply comes from this. All right. You look at high quality cataract eye surgery. All of you know about it, and it is 100 times cheaper, Arvind Eye Care. High quality open heart surgery, 20 times cheaper. It is not because our labor is cheap. That doesn't matter here at all. It is the process innovation that they have done, workflow innovation that they have done. Jaipur food, for example, is 300 times cheaper and beats some of the best feet in the world. So we are experts in doing this. Indian innovation is centered around this. And of course, this concept became more and more popular. In fact, those of you who are interested can look at the TED Talk, which has been now translated into 23 languages. And I spread this message of more from less for more, initially starting in Canberra, of course, as I told you. Later on, in the US, I spoke. I remember Washington World Bank speaking about this. And they were so impressed, they created an inclusive innovation mission for Vietnam of $55 million, a project, not mission, but a sort of project. I remember going to World Bank on invitation to give their eminent personality of the year lecture. And I remember selling this particular concept, and they created for it. I remember in Brussels, I was invited by the European Commissioner. There were more than 2,000 Europeans. I gave this concept, and they included that in their Horizon 2020 program. Beijing, just before the G20 meeting, they held the Sustainable Development Goal. What can my mantra of MLM can do to sort of improve that? Elsewhere, I spoke in Tokyo, in Japan, Colombo, Cape Town, Medellin, and so on and so forth. So this message I kept on spreading around the world, and I'm very happy that in a lot of there is a lot of lots of thinking on this, because people are challenged by inequalities now. And pandemic has made it worse by increasing the inequalities. And the only solution is Gandhian engineering. Only solution is getting more from less for more. Only solution is to ensure that despite income inequality, they get access equality. Then you would say, what do I do in India? This is fine. But I'll tell you, my own CSIR has been, of course, doing inclusive innovation in every single respect, all those 40 laboratories. But then you say that is fine, but what are you doing? So I created in my mother's name this Anjani Mashalkar Inclusive Innovation Award. That is powered by Gandhian Engineering. It's a small award of 1 lakh, but it is given to people, young people who make high technology work for the poor, and which are the attributes of affordability, accessibility, and adaptability. Let me give you some examples, because there are 2 messages I want to give. One is that the new startup phenomena that we have, and all the 11 are, by the way, are startups to whom this award has gone. And you can see their incredible achievements, where they are not just trying to make money, but they are trying to solve the problems of civil society. For example, this Mishkin Ingawade, hemoglobin test. He created a non-invasive hemoglobin test. And as I always emphasize, I'm not fond of best practice. I like to see next practice. When some of us pride, oh, I'm following the best practice, what are you saying? That is, you're copying somebody's best practice. I'm not impressed. We in India have to create next practice, where the rest of the world will follow us and say, we are following their practice, our best practice. For example, here, best practice is invasive with needles. You take the blood and analyze. You say, I will not use any needles. Cost per test is 150 rupees. You say, I'll do it in 10 rupees. Okay? And just see what he created. This is what he created. Touch. And see what he has done. He has used high technology, photoplethysmography, spectrophotometry, advanced software, photon scattering. All right? Now, here is a point. Making high technology work for the rich, very easy. Making low technology work for the poor, very easy. Making high technology work for the poor, very difficult. And that's what he has done. And not only that, he created then, at least here there is some touch of the finger. He created absolutely touchless, a camera which captures the picture of conjunctiva and uses the method of reflectors photometry to estimate hemoglobin content in the blood. This is an incredible innovation. You'll be happy to see that our young people are capable of thinking like this. And these are innovations for India, because it does not require somebody to take your blood. And also, it is completely non-invasive, as you can quite clearly see. Look at Mihir Shah, for example, eye breast. So many women die of breast cancer because it is not detected early. So he created this device. Actually, within $1, you can do non-invasive screening. And it was ultra portable, accurate, minimal training, wireless, cloud connected. It has got US FDA certification. It has got European certification. Then you will say, oh, it looks like a toy. Maybe it must be sitting somewhere in the lab. Sorry, it is not. You can see this is going to be used in 25 countries because they have partnered with We Life Sciences now. You can see the difference. So when our Honorable Prime Minister says, Atmanirbhar Bharat, but he also says, make in India for the world. This is a brilliant example. Make in India for the world. The next one I want to show you is Rahul Rastogi for his ECG device. By the way, let me introduce some of the people. This is my wife, Vaishali. This is Professor Anil Gupta, who I consider as a guru, grassroots innovation. He was the father of that National Innovation Foundation. We all work together, tremendous. And this is International Longevity Center India. I've been the president, which looks at the challenges of the old, basically, and also making high technology work for them affordably. That is what we try to do. He's the chairman. And here also we move from best practice to next practice. What is the best practice? If you want to take a ECG, what will you do? You'll go lie down. Then this nurse will put its leads on you and then take the reading. And within half an hour, you will get, or 15 minutes, you will get, no, sorry. He has created something which is completely portable. Like this, it can be held in hand. And you can, as a matter of fact, put your two thumbs for 15 seconds and also around your heart, 15 seconds above, 15 seconds below. And within 3 minutes, actually, it goes it generates reports and sent to for doctor's review by email or WhatsApp or whatever, And it's incredible. It just costs 5 rupees. And this is the first device that he created, personal 12-lead ECG count, portable. And here, this is the second device which he created, capable of taking the single lead, 6 lead, and 12 lead medical grade sort of ECG. The other inclusive innovation awardee in 2019, Mahatma Gandhi had said sanitation is more important than political freedom. And Supreme Court had talked about manure scavengers. And they had said sewers are gas chambers where manure scavengers are sent to die. It's a terrible situation. And look at that. One manure scavenger is dying every 5 days. These are the official data. These are the data. I will not read them, but they are terrible. And what did these young people do? They say, why should the man be in the hole? There should be a machine in the hole. In fact, the idea of manhole itself is a very bad one. Why should the man be in the hole? And they created this robot with a simple user interface. And you can see, schematically, we are showing that this man is now not sinking here, but actually he's become a robo-operator because he's trained as a robo-operator. Now, can you just imagine what it means? Access to dignity. And these are college boys, by the way, from Kerala. Final year students they were when they did that. Okay. Now, what it means is access to dignity. Despite income equality, access equality, but access to dignity. For example, suppose imagine this fellow was the manual scavenger, and his children were asked in the school as to what does your father do, and they would put their head down and said he is a manual scavenger. Now they can put their head up and say no, he is a robo operator. And I'm very happy that this case was much discussed. There was a Rajya Sabha MP was present in the award ceremony. He was a member of the manual scavenger committee, and he pushed it forward. And finally, the government is coming out with a bill which proposes to completely mechanize sewer cleaning. I always say, science must solve, technology must transform, and innovation must impact. And this is a brilliant example of that. And then, of course, pandemic. So I created one more award on pandemic sort of last year because what was happening? We had the second wave. ICU beds, like Delhi hospital fast running out of ICU beds. In Los Angeles also ambulances circle for hours because ICUs were not available. Everywhere this was happening. And then there was this brilliant innovation where you can convert a normal bed into a stand-up ICU within 10 minutes. How? By using IoT-based, sensor-based system, basically called DOSI. It's a continuous contact-free vitals monitor, 10 times cheaper than what are the products used in ICU, no maintenance, consumables, and the 7 parameters are measured, 98.4% accuracy, if you can believe it. Okay, and this has been used now during the second wave. You can see all across the country, and so many patients have been monitored. Most importantly, as you can imagine, because the monitoring is remote, that's a great thing. So we were falling short of nurses and doctors. Now there, whereas one nurse could monitor 10 patients, here she can monitor 100 patients. So these are the kinds of technologies. As you know, we have tremendous shortage of trained doctors and trained nurses. This is what is the kind of technology that India needs. I'm very happy that this is spreading now across the Gandhian engineering or technology or innovation that I had proposed in 2008 is being now used nationally, and there are yearly awards now, and they are given by none other than the President of India. As you could see in one function in 2018, this is the Minister of Science and Technology. This is again Professor Anil Gupta, Ashutosh Sharma, Department of Science and Technology. So I'm very happy that this is getting institutionalized. We must realize that education disseminates known knowledge, research converts money into knowledge, and innovation converts knowledge into money. Now, there, in terms of education, there was a discussion and somebody said, what is the most powerful equation? Somebody said Newton's force equal to mass into acceleration. Somebody said, no, Einstein, E equal to mc square. And then somebody asked me, I said, no, none of these, not Newton, not Einstein. They said, what is the most powerful equation? I said, E equal to F. Education is equal to future. And you can see this poor lady, how poor you can see by looking at her dwelling, okay, which is a pipe. And she's getting her daughter ready for school. So she understands the importance of E equal to F. But if you wanted a proof of E equal to F, here it is. This is 17 March 2000, and there's a photograph from Rashtrapati Bhavan. You would say, how does this photograph show that? I'll explain to you. On that day, I received Padma Bhushan, and also Ratan Tata received Padma Bhushan, one after the other. Then you will say, how does it prove equal to F? I'll tell you how. President K.R. Narayanan was born in a very poor family. He used to walk kilometers to go to his school. His parents could not afford to pay tuition fees. So he used to stand outside the class and take notes. I was also in a very similar situation. I was born in a village called Mashelkar. My father died when I was 6. My mother left that village and came to Mumbai in search of a job. She did actually menial work to bring me up. 2 meals a day was a challenge. There are days when I've gone hungry, slept. There are days when I've studied under street lights. I walked barefoot until I was 12. So you would say, how do these two people end up in Rashtrapati Bhavan? He as a president and I as a Padma Bhushan. There's a common reason. He got Tata scholarship, so he could study further. I got Tata scholarship, I could study further. And here is a Tata scholar honoring Tata. If this does not prove E equal to F, nothing else will prove. However, I must say this now, that today's Mashelkar, if he was given 60 rupees per month, that will not be adequate. Because now access to education needs digital access. Because 1.6 billion children were thrown out of school in 100 days, and 1/3 of them did not have digital access. No digital access means no education, online learning. And this is terrible. Young students committed suicide. With no smartphone, 15-year-old student commits suicide after failing to attend online classes. And it was not a solitary case. June was the worst month, June 2020. In Punjab, 11-year-old student committing suicide. Can you imagine? Can you just think about young children committing suicide because they don't have access? Assam, 15-year-old, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Kerala, Karnataka. This happened all over. It's a matter of shame. And that is because of the digital inequality, digital deprivation. And therefore, did we not have technology? Yes. In 2010, you can see here, Mr. Kapil Sibal launching this Akash tablet, which was supposed to be in the hands of the, we did not. We did have technology like Computer, for example, Indian Institute of Science. In fact, it was so good. It said the most significant innovation in computer technology in 2001 was not Apple's gleaming titanium power book G4 or Microsoft Windows XP. It was a Computer, a netlink. Who said that? Not an Indian. It was said by Bruce Sterling. Still, it could have been in the hands of these children, and they would not have committed suicide. So what was missing? The bold, innovative public procurement policy for and of innovation. And that is what we have proposed to Niti Aayog. I was invited to write about what would be the policy in terms of public procurement and so on and so forth. And I'm very happy to say it is getting actually implemented. Not only that, I just chaired the committee for higher education. There was a task force to implement new education policy. And our 9th chapter is on digital access. And our task force has said that there has to be a free digital access to all the students. Just as it is like roti, kapda, makan, and internet for children, for students, whether they are school going or college going, this must be sort of done. The other point I want to make about pole vaulting is that great pole vaulting is propelled by high kinetic energy. But there can be speed breakers. As this lady is running, if suddenly you put a speed breaker, she has to stop all over. And there are speed breakers because they're all about mindset. When you have a new idea, oh, it's too risky. Suppose it fails, impossible, never done before. Somebody has tried it already. No, and if you're scared, but your English is good, you will say, let me play devil's advocate. All that is nonsense. We can't have that. We have to avoid these speed breakers. There are speed breakers because of complacency, cynicism, risk aversion, vested interest, bureaucracy, restrictive regulations, policy limitations. Innovation cannot flower when you have all this. I want to emphasize that. So it is all about leadership, I would say. And we have to create, in order to become a leading innovation nation, we have to create pole vaulting innovation leaders who find opportunities where others see nothing, convert problems into an opportunity, set quantum goals, drive discontinuity, bet on risky ideas. This is very, very important. Startup India, I'm finding now talent, technology, and trust must, however, come together. Let me tell you a bit of a story. I remember I was on the External Research Advisory Board of Microsoft from 2007 to 12, 5 years. And I remember Bill Gates telling me something interesting. He said he was invited to give a talk in Harvard University in the commencement ceremony, and he actually narrated his own experience. He said, in my address, I declared myself as the most successful dropout from Harvard, which was, of course, the case. And he says, when I was very young, even less than 20, he phoned up a company which was manufacturing computer hardware, because those are early days. It was a company in Albuquerque, Mexico, and said, I will offer you the software, because you have the hardware, you require software. And you know what happened? They said, and he said, I thought they will keep the phone down because there was a young voice. He said, they did not put the phone down. They said, we are not ready, come after a month. And then Bill Gates said, thank God they said, come after a month. I did not have the software that I was offering. See this, that company had the trust in young people, and he had the trust in himself. That's why I always say, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, it has to be Atmavishwas, self-confidence. I think that is what is important. So I'm seeing a new vibrancy, of course, in the Indian startup system. I'll not go through that because I want to end. And there are several key players in the startup ecosystem. We must build them in order to reach as a leading startup nation. Like Israel is a leading startup nation today, for example. So I think the basic change that we need to make is we have to emphasize incrementalism will not do. It is revolution, not just renovation. We have to create products new to the world, not to the company or the country. Unprecedented cost performance features, like what Jio has done, for example, not just marginal reduction, entirely new products and services, not just tinkering, basically, no jugaad. Right? And next practice, not just best practice, as I explained to you, and as I showed you, Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Awardees have actually done it. We need to build an ecosystem comprising the physical, intellectual, and cultural construct. Innovation is in culture. And for example, there is a support system, education, research, incubators, accelerators, technology parks, and as I said, adventure capital. You know, this is the Economist title at the moment, adventure capitalism. I was amused actually, day before yesterday that Economist came. And the government, society, institutions, of course, so many policy levels, IPR, regulatory system, strategic designs, standards. And then we can create innovation-led accelerated growth. India as a leader in assured innovation. And then I always say, when we talk about Make in India, it is not like in assembled in India. It is invented in India. Then only will you be successful. I like to end. I got the J.R.D. Tata Corporate Leadership Award in 1998. That was a big surprise for me because the previous awardee was Narayan Murthy and the awardee who followed was Premji. And in 30 years' time, I'm the only scientist who has got it. And I remember at that time, my speech that I had given, I had said, and I repeat it because what I said then, almost 21, 22 years ago, is still valid, more valid today than ever before. I had said, finally, 1999 should be the year where we should launch a powerful national innovation movement to propel us into the next millennium. The I in India should not stand for inhibition, imitation. It must stand for innovation. I in IIT must stand for innovation. The I in industry, the I in CSIR must stand for innovation. The I in every individual Indian must stand for innovation. It is only this innovative India that will signal to the rest of the world that we are not a hesitant nation, unsure of our place in new global order, but a confident one that is raring to go and be a leader in the community of nations. I'd like to end, this is my last slide, 5 Mashalkar Mantras that I have got from my book of life. I have as many successes as many failures, and many times failures teach you far more than successes. So I'll give you the gist of what I have learned in my life. Maybe some of these will be useful. The first is, aspirations are your possibilities. Keep them high, but for you as well as for our society and our beloved nation. I remember when I took over as Director of National Chemical Laboratory, 1989, only thing we did at that time was copying, reverse engineering, import substitution, because we were protected. This was before 1991. We were protected. And I remember my speech on the very first day, because my challenge was, any time we did something which was ahead of the rest of the world, Indian industry will not take it. They'll say, but has Europe done it? Has US done it? Has Japan done it? So in my first speech, I said, look, what is my market? Not India, the whole world. So let National Chemical Laboratory be International Chemical Laboratory. We'll export our knowledge to the rest of the world whenever we are ahead. And for that, we have to introduce patenting culture, like licensing a US patent becomes possible when you have a patent in the US. And in 39 years, NCL had 0 US patent. And I said, we license our US patents. I think this was ultimate of audacity. All right. And we did that. In fact, this was 1989. In 1992, 3 of our US patents, because I changed the patenting culture, total patenting culture, not publish or perish, patent, publish and prosper. And the same laboratory, the same people who were copying, they started producing patents. And in 1992, it's a record. 3 of our US patents were licensed to General Electric. In what area? Polycarbonates. And it was that area, they had 40% of world market share. Okay. So you can just imagine, by changing a laboratory which was just doing copying, it all wanted to creating something which we could license to the leader, so as to say. That is the power. That's what we need. Secondly, particularly to the younger people, I say, like instant coffee, there is no instant success. Work hard in silence, let success make all the noise. Purpose, perseverance, passion, too early to quit. That I have found. Winners are never quitters, quitters are never winners. Fail, according to me, is first attempt in learning, FAI. Your best guru is your last mistake, as long as you learn from. If you don't, then no. And when doors of opportunity that you keep on knocking don't open, create your own. Again, I'll tell you my personal experience. This is book of my life. When I came back in 1976, I remember we're a poor country, not $2,000 GDP per capita, $200 GDP per capita. And I remember, in order to start experimental work in an area where I had done I had developed expertise, namely non-Newtonian fluid mechanics, I needed equipment. That was Weisenberg Rheogoniometer. It will take me 2 years to get it. Digitary clearance, not manufactured in India certificate. So that door was not opening. They say, what is the only equipment God has given me? My brain. And how do I use it? I went into modeling and simulation. And can you believe it? In 77, I started that work. And within 5 years, in 82, I got Bhatnagar Prize, which is the highest science prize in India for scientists below 45, basically. Supposing I'd folded my hand, waited for 2 years for that door of opportunity to open, would it happen? So I always tell young people, create your own paths, open your own doors. And the final point I would like to end here is there is no limit to human endurance and achievement and imagination, excepting the one that you put on your head. And I've learned a lot from my great guru, Professor Csr Bharat Ratna. He has got all the honors excepting Nobel Prize. And I remember when I became fellow of Royal Society, you know, I don't know how many of you are scientists, but those who are will realize that Fellowship of Royal Society is among the, after Nobel Prize, is considered as one of the highest honor that an Indian can get. I'm an engineering scientist, and in 360 years, there are only 3 engineering scientists from India who have got it, from India. One was Professor Rodam Narasimha, he passed away, as you know, from Bangalore. Another one is my guru, Professor M.M. Sharma, and third is myself. So now there are only 2 left in last 360 years. It's a great honor, but when I phoned up Professor Rao, his response was not bad. Then I got another honor, you know, American Academy of Arts and Science, which again, only 7 Indians have got so far from 1780. Again, I phoned him up. His response was not bad. And then there was a third one, the National Academy of Inventors of US. I was the first Indian, not third, seventh, etc., to get it. Again, he said, not bad. Then I was very upset. I said, sir, what do I have to do to impress you? And what he said then, I will leave that message. What he said was that, Mashelkar, you are rising climbing on a ladder of excellence. That ladder of excellence has no limit. It's a limitless one. And the only limit is what you put on your head. So therefore, that gets converted into something that no matter what you get, you have to say, my best is yet to come. So whether you are 18-year-old or 80-year-old, every day in the morning, if you get up and say, my best is yet to come, and maybe today is the day it will come. And if a billion Indians do it, you can just imagine, and not just for myself, but for our society, for our nation. And if a billion Indians can do it, you can quite clearly see where our India will be. Not just among the top in all the nations, but absolutely at the top. Not just one of the innovation nation, but the topmost innovation nation. That's our dream. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been a wonderful presentation of what one can achieve in life when one is motivated by great men of innovation, and also great men of science like you who have contributed to India. Before I leave the talk open for discussion, I have a few very important things that I need to recollect for the benefit of all of us here. And you said that first 50 years, there were Nobel laureates. After that, we didn't see many. Then from the bicycle to billion, you said global innovation index, India was way behind in 2015. Now in 2021, it was way ahead compared to 81 and 46. China, of course, is the leading, and we should try to be the leader there. Leapfrogging to pole vaulting. That was your crux of the message, is leapfrogging to pole vaulting. You said why the frog wants to leap. Is it because it is afraid? Are we afraid of the predators? No. You said something about the leadership program, Beyonders, 100 innovation leaders. Good examples are the geo mobile data. So 155 position to first position, and Reliance has achieved this in just 83 days. So how to assure an assured success? You have given the mantra: affordable, scalable, sustainable, universal, resilient, excellent, and distinctive. GeoGlass failed because of these problems, whereas the Google Glass failed, but the Geo won it because it is affordable, scalable, and all the things. So it should be a reality for everyone who would like to dream the pole vault. And we have seen the Aadhaar, the mobile, the digital penetration of in India market, the mobile data, the LEDs, the digital payment transformation. India has achieved the Guinness Book. Can we inspire the kite flying fund, NLC funding, make the impossible as possible? New India Fund of the CSIR, public private partnership you talked of the corporate involvement. Can they take part? Daring to try, the Tatas, dare to dream, the Mahindras, the Beyonders, Reliance. These are notable examples. Inclusive innovation, India is undisputable leader in this, and MLM, more from less for more people. This is the most important message that we all got. The Gandhian engineering, you titled it. This is called the more from less for more people. So yet provides to satisfy every man's need, but not the greed, is the saying of our Mahatma Gandhi. And that rightly when translated into MLM, it becomes the mantra for the innovation and success. More prominent, more performance from less resources for more people. World Economic Forum, you presented this on the special occasion, and there's a special session of MLM there, and high quality. You have not only shown the examples from various industries and innovations, you also went into the healthcare sector, hepatitis B vaccine, 40 times cheaper, high quality cataract, eye surgery, 100 times cheaper, artificial foot, 300 times cheaper, and also your role in fostering the young Indians to try for excellence is the Anjani Mashelkar Award, Incentive Innovation Award, affordability, accessibility, and adaptability. Okay, the hemoglobin test, which was costing 150 with a needle, non-touch hemoglobin for 10 rupees, breast cancer screening for just $1. All these are innovations and made in India. Rahul Rastogi's the Sanket Life ECG, yeah, which is without any waste of time. Within 3 minutes, one can get an ECG for 5 rupees. Sanitation is more important. You said the dignity is important for the manual scavengers, the robo operators for the scavenging needs have been emphasized by you, and government of India, it is very heartening to know that they're going to bring a bill on prohibition of manual scavenging. And you also touched upon the pandemic, the ICU bed shortage, where one can convert a simple bed into an ICU, which monitors 7 parameters with 98.4% accuracy. And a nurse who can monitor 10 patients can now monitor with this up to 100 patients. Srishti, Gandhian, Young Technology Innovation, GAITI, the most powerful equation you said is not from Newton, not from Einstein, not from anyone else, but E is equal to F. That is, education is future. You showed us very motivating pictures of people coming from very low socioeconomic status, educating them to become proud future innovative Indians. So President K.R. Narayanan has presented you and simultaneously to Ratan Tata ji the prestigious Padma Bhushan Award. And at that time, he emphasized that poverty is not a problem unless when we take care of the education part of it. When we go from poverty situation to educate the children and put them in the right schools and motivate them, and anyone can achieve. The standing example is you yourself with your background that you have narrated. Akash tablet, where the digital access to children is essential. This at a very affordable price. And you have also said that children who are not having digital access are forced to some unwanted measures. And you also said that IIT means the I in IIT is innovation. In industries, it is innovation. In CSIR, it is innovation. In every Indian individual, it is I is innovation. So you have the 5 mantras, you call it as Mashalkar's mantras. 1, aspiration, keep the aspirations very high. No instant success, please, like instant coffee. The third one is perseverance and passion. Okay, that is most important. And the last mistake is the best guru. Wonderful saying. Create your own doors. And don't wait for the doors to which are not opening. Create your own doors, and you have exemplified that from your life. My best is yet to come should be the mantra for every person once he gets up in the morning, whether he is 18 or 80. Limitless is the ladder that we have to climb on excellence and innovation. This talk, personally, I am very much motivated to do what best I can do in the remaining part of my life. And it should be the target for every one of us who are here. And this talk is recorded. I request you to kindly share the PowerPoint also to us. And we will be able to circulate the PowerPoint as well as the video recording. First, I will show it to you. Then, of course, it will be available for the other audience and other general public. With these few words of summing up, my heart goes out to you and submitting my humble pranams to you. And then may we be blessed by great scientists like you. And with folded hands, we pray to you and to the Almighty to give all that is possible in His capacity to give you long life, prosperity, and also give us more from you in the remaining years to come. We are highly motivated, sir. I promise that we will take this as an inspiration lesson. Though I am 70 years, I feel a lot is left in me to give to me and to my India. So now the mic is, the floor is open for discussion, and we are going to take short questions. Questioning, I request the questioners to be very brief and pointed, and any special thing you can always discuss in the group. For want of time, his time is very precious. We will honor that, and maybe we will honor around half a dozen questions from the august audience here. I leave the people to now discuss with you, sir. Thank you so much for giving this wonderful talk and the opportunity given to this individual to do this bit for bringing people together in this forum. Nice of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your very kind words. I'll be very happy to share my PowerPoint presentation with you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.